travel back in time to the 80s, reliving the music.
You can't have the Pretenders' first album. That's mine.
I bought it.
You did not.
The catchphrases.
Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast?
And the wannabes.
Sometimes I see him dance around the house in my underwear. Doesn't make me Madonna. Never will.
Because just like you, we're stuck in the 80s.
Can you say stuck in the 80s?
I'm alright. Nobody but about me. Why you got to give me a fight? Can't you just let it be? I'm alright. Don't nobody but about me. You got to give me a fight. Why don't you just let me be?
Hey, welcome to Stuck in the 80s. It's your host, Steve Spears.
And Brad in L.A.
And today, we have a special bonus edition of the podcast, a guest interview with the man who first conceived the idea of the 80s cruise.
We're at sea, and I'm a god at sea.
Stuck in the 80s is a member of the CLNS Podcast Network. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media mobile app.
And don't forget to listen to the podcast at the CLNS Media website. You can find it at clnsmedia.com.
Joining us today, Steve, she was the consensus pick for most likely to become a podcaster on the 2016 cruise. It's Jen with one N.
Oh, what an honor. Thank you so much. I'm not even kidding when I say that either.
So most people know the big news by now. Jen with one N is coming on the cruise in 2019. So is Just Drew and his wife.
Yeah.
So we have pretty much almost all the main players for the podcast coming on the ship. And we'll be there to host Big 80s Trivia, and we'll be there to record live podcasts, and we will be there, hopefully, I'm told, to maybe help judge the costume contest on Pop Icon Night.
Uh-oh, does that mean we can't enter? I like to win.
I'm happy to judge, but not enter this year, because I think I spent all of my enter coin last year.
Jen, you should enter, because you've only been to one cruise so far, so you should definitely enter. Brad and I have, we're after doing it for 3 years, we don't mind the break.
Okay, good. And I'm so excited about my contest, which will remain nameless, which will remain nameless until the cruise.
I think that's
a mystery. It remains a mystery.
Keep them thinking.
So that's good. So we've said it before. We'll say it again. March 2nd through 9th on the Celebrity Infinity this year, we will have the 80s cruise. Brad's gotten really good at doing the ship horn. Maybe they'll let you up to the bridge. You know, when we leave the port.
You should enter the ship. You should enter the ship horn contest.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm excited about that.
Very limited number of people who enter, so I like your odds.
I like my chances.
So let's see if we can name all the bands in one go this time. Okay, we got Kenny Loggins. You have your host Dee Snider, who I'm sure will also perform. You have Berlin. You got your OMD. You got your Fix, English Beat, Cutting Crew,
Grandmaster Flash,
Club Nouveau,
Sheila E.
Jeez, it's hard. They're going to keep us busy.
Trial by Fire,
Jesse's Girl, the tribute band,
the unnamed Steve Spears Project.
Yeah, not quite up to par of the Alan Parsons Project. It's really,
we'll get there.
Really want to skip that performance. So anyway, we'll be there, but we wanted to get a sneak preview of what's going to happen. And our good friend Joey Fairchild is the production manager of ECP. But before I get to that, a little bit of quick history, how it all got started. Back in the 1970s, Norwegian Cruise Line used to host a jazz cruise every year on their old ship, the SS Norway, which is older than all of us combined, I think. And
nice.
By the year 2000, the cruise line was ready to drop theme cruises, but the organizers behind the jazz cruise wanted to keep them going. So they approached Holland America, started chartering their ships, and continued the jazz cruise. And that was sort of the beginning or the genesis of the company that we know as Entertainment Cruise Productions, the St. Louis company that gives us today the Star Trek cruise, Smooth Jazz cruise, Blue Note at Sea, and of course the 80s cruise. So Joey's the guy. If you've been on one of the cruises, You've seen him. He's the guy who's running from one concert venue to another or dropping off prize packs for us at Big 80s Trivia.
He's also about 6'8".
Yeah, he's also the tallest guy on the ship.
He's one tall dude.
Yes. And on this last year's cruise, this 2018, if you were on the ship, he was oftentimes also on stage. He was helping the MC JT out to introduce some of the big acts. Anyway, Joey's our special guest for this podcast, and he will dish some dirt on what we expect in 2019 on the cruise. He's going to give us the scoop on a new theme night. And then stay tuned after the interview for some of our favorite memories and surprises from the cruise and a special cruise trivia challenge. You guys ready for that?
Roll some tape, Spearsy. Roll some tape.
Sit back and enjoy our short conversation with Joey Fairchild from the 80s Cruise. Hey, so we're here with the man behind the 80s Cruise. Joey, welcome to Stuck in the 80s.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me on the Stuck in the 80s podcast.
So the 80s Cruise is about to enter year 4, but for people who have either been on the cruise or are just now hearing about it, tell us how the 80s Cruise got started.
80s Cruise was a concept that we had been bouncing around for a few years. It was actually my concept. You know, we do 6 or 7 cruises a year, all different themes, anywhere from jazz to country to Star Trek and all this stuff. And, you know, at the end of a cruise season, we all sit around and we talk about what worked, what didn't work, and what new cruises we want to try. And 80s had been one that I had kept pushing for. I thought it'd be a great cruise, great music, a lot of cool stuff we could do. And, you know, the timing was never right. And then it was just one of those things. 2014, everyone was like, yeah, you know, I think we're ready to do this. And we started creating it. And 2016 was the very first 80s cruise.
So some of the things that I know that blew me away when I got on the ship back in 2016 were the little touches. Like you know, there's going to be concerts and the VJs are there, and you know you're super excited about that. But when you got onto the ship and you saw all the decorations, like you guys had transformed the cruise ship into like a floating time capsule with fake graffiti. I mean, you had a whole like little setup there that looked like a bedroom in the 80s. I mean, there was like not one unturned page. How long did it take to like brainstorm that? I mean, that to me would have been, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that.
Well, that's the fun part. You know, the fun part is coming up with, you know, all the theming and decor and the props and what we're going to do. It's not always the easiest because, you know, it is a cruise ship. So, you know, you do your best to take areas and transform them. And a lot of times we don't have a lot of time. You know, it's a week cruise, but a lot of times we're starting the night before and have just hours to get everything ready, or even that morning and trying to get everything ready. But that's our goal. You know, we don't want people just to come out and see concerts at sea or it be just a floating festival. We really want to transform the ship and take everyone back to the decade and really have stuff that kind of makes people, you know, look back and say, oh, I remember that. And it's all the little stuff, you know, anywhere from the giant boombox props we do to we do a lot of decals and little things. We even, you know, do TV dinners on the menu. It's just stuff like that. We really try to, as best we can, take a cruise ship and make it into a theme park of this is 80s for 24 hours a day for the next 7 days.
Yeah, it's completely immersive. And by the way, kudos for the TV dinners. Our table orders one of those every night, and then we pass it around.
I think that's what everyone does. You have to, you know, it's not one of those where it's going to be the best meal you have on the ship, but it's fun and you just want to try it every night.
Yeah. This last year, I remember walking around. Of course, you got the giant Rubik's Cubes that everybody poses on and the giant boom boxes. I can only imagine what it's like to try to contact some sort of vendor and be like, yeah, well, we need a Rubik's Cube that's approximately 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet, you know, but we need to be able to deliver it to the cruise port at Port Canaveral.
Yeah. Well, you know, with the cruises, we bring on a couple of semis worth of not only the sound and lights and all the musical equipment, but all this other stuff you're talking about. I mean, even, you know, you remember we bring on full size 80s arcade games. We build an arcade. I mean, it's definitely one of the hardest cruises for us to produce because there is so much more to it than just the music and all the props, but it's also one of the most fun cruises we do too because there's just so much going on.
So we're 3 cruises in now. What have been some of your favorite moments so far?
Man, there's a lot. And which ones can I remember? It always is going to go back to the first one for me, with it being kind of my concept, that first sail away party, and just watching, everyone come on the ship already dressed up, already ready to be in the 80s, and just knowing that we had a concept that worked and that the fan base was so great. Not only did they come out to hang and party and have a good time, but they were really great with each other, made friends, and keep coming back year after year. And also that first year, our first big pool party, which was a t-shirt party where, you've got 2,000 people all wearing the exact same t-shirt.
Yeah.
And Modern English was performing. And of course they did I Melt With You, and they stopped the song and make it a cappella, and 2,000 people singing along to that. So that was definitely highlights from year one. And then this last year, it just seems to get better and better. Terry Nunn from Berlin and Mike Reno and Rick Springfield all getting together in like a piano bar jam setting and doing stuff that you would never see anywhere else. Those kind of moments are just unreal and blow me away every time I see them.
Yeah, I think personally for me, my favorite moments over the years, having Modern English be up there with Brad and I for Big 80s Trivia on the first year was something special. And again, this last year, having Katrina from Katrina and the Waves with us. I remember Brad and I walk into the room like 45 minutes before trivia is supposed to start. Normally there's nobody there, but the day we walk in and Katrina's supposed to be there, the place is like 3/4 filled already, and everyone's just waiting, because it's an opportunity. It's an event,
and it's cool. It's so cool. Like you go to a concert and you get to see him on stage and see all that, but when do you get to have, like you say, when do you get to sit down and play trivia with Katrina or do some of this stuff? So we got to figure out who's going to do trivias with you this year.
Yeah, looking forward to it. That's always Brad and I will start. In fact, we've already started talking about the trivia for next year. We start talking about it like on the ride home from the ship every year. Like, what are we going to do different? What are we going to improve? How are we going to do some more participation challenges, stuff like that? We have a blast doing it. And speaking of next year, man, now it's my turn for my throat to go. Speaking of next year, let's talk a little bit about 2019. Some of the theme nights have changed, right?
Yeah, we're just now, or over the last few weeks, introducing all the theme nights. There is 6 theme nights in total. We always have Back to the 80s night. It's just one of those nights you kind of have to have. It's one of those where it just tells everyone, here we go, we're going back to the 80s. So, you'll see people come as rockers. They'll dress preppy and put on their members only jackets. You got people dressed in Miami Vice. Some people just want to wear spandex. You got all the people who are the new wave kids. It's just that night to kind of embrace whatever you were or whatever you wanted to be in the 80s. And it's just saying, hey, here we go. We're going back to the 80s. Everyone come however you want to come. So that's always one theme we have to keep. This year we're introducing a brand new theme, and that's going to be Nightmare on the 80s Cruise. Talked to a few guests about it. And even yourself a little bit on the last cruise. We kind of concepted it, and it's going to be really cool. This year with Dee Snider as the host, we're trying to go like louder, bigger, make everything a little more over the top. And this is right up Dee's alley. He will host this one, and it's really going to celebrate all that iconic 80s horror movies. You had Thriller, you had all that music as well. Michael Myers, you had Jason, Freddy. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff like that. So we're really looking forward to that one. That one's, I think, going to be one of those where some people are going to like it and some people are going to be a little freaked out, because it's going to be another night that we're going to not only have it 80s, but then have to transform the ship a little bit and make it a little scarier and a little more like a haunted house, I think.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
So you got those two. Prom, you always have to have, some sort of formal night on a cruise. So we always call it prom. This year we're changing prom up, though, a little bit. We've got Claudia Wells, who was Marty McFly's girlfriend in Back to the Future. She's coming on the ship. She's going to be an event host. She'll probably do trivia with you guys. She's going to sit down, talk about the making of Back to the Future and some of that stuff, but she's going to be around. Long story short, she's going to host prom this year, and we're calling it the Enchantment Under the Sea Prom Dance. So kind of stealing a little bit or taking a little bit from the Back to the Future movie. But it will be a little bit different. Their prom was set in the 50s. We're staying in the 80s still. But I think we will see a few people still dressed as Back to the Future characters, or maybe even the 50s. But I think it'll be a new take on that.
Is it?
On that
I heard a rumor that it's inside this year.
We're moving prom inside. That's the funny thing. We're on a ship and we try to do a lot outside because it's great. But every year people want it a little more cheesy, and they wanted punch bowls and they wanted this, so we add that in, and then we add balloon arches because they want that. They want to go as cheesy as possible. So this year we are moving into the dining room, which we do on some of the other cruises. We take out all the tables, all the chairs, so it really becomes like that inside prom that we all had, with all the really, really cheesy Mylar curtains and lighting and everything that everyone wants prom to be. So we'll have a big party inside on that one.
That really does sound amazing. The big question on everyone's mind, will the punch bowl be already pre-spiked?
I think we will spike the punch bowl, but someone's going to dress as Biff Tannen and bring a flask or one of those kind of things. Another new one that we're doing is, with Kenny Loggins being on board, we decided to try something. I know we talked to you about this a little bit and we shot some ideas back and forth, but we're going to have Top Gun versus Caddyshack. We've done a few versus themes before. We think this one will be kind of fun. So you're either going to come dressed as an officer or flight suits or whatever you feel you are from the Top Gun side, or if you feel like you're a little more into the Caddyshack side, you want to come as someone from the Bushwood Country Club or a golfer or a gopher, and I think we're going to see a lot of gophers. So we're going to have a lot of things going on that night, kind of little competitions and stuff, and I think it's going to be pretty crazy, too, just to look out in the audience and see all these people dressed up in two of the biggest soundtracks of the 80s and Kenny Loggins performing on stage. I think it's going to freak him out a bit, which would be fun.
Yeah, I told him about that during the interview, and he was like, you could tell that he was like, that's going to be such a great night. He's so good. But he's got a great sense of humor.
It's funny. Sometimes they don't pay attention, like if you have an artist that happens to not be paying attention of what the theme night is, and they go out there and they're just like, what is going on tonight? So that'll be a good one. Of course, you got to have 80s pop icon night. That's the big costume night. That's where really everyone goes all out. We've seen stuff from giant Smurfs to people dressed as all the Tetris pieces. It's a night where people dress up as their favorite 80s musical star. Could be Michael Jackson, Madonna. You got people dressing as cartoons, things from movies. So that is really the big, big costume night. That night we do prizes, and this year we're going to try and take it a little further too. We want to do a little bit more categories because it's just so hard to pick one person. So I think we're going to do something where it's maybe it's the most original, most elaborate, best individual, best group costume. So we're going to have a few categories on that one and really give out a few more prizes and whatnot on that. And last but not least, we were looking at the calendar and saw that Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, actually falls over to cruise. So we felt like we need to start to celebrate Mardi Gras a bit. So we're going to do an 80s style Mardi Gras, if there is such a thing. But we're going to call it a Neon Mardi Gras Party. We're going to do this one inside as well. And we're really going to crank up the black light and do a lot of that kind of stuff. We're going to have Grandmaster Flash do a special show that night, and we're really just going to try to have a giant glow party. I think there's going to be tons of beads. There's going to be a lot of drinking because it's the 80s cruise and Mardi Gras. So it should be, I think it'll be a good one.
There's this crazy rumor floating around, and maybe you can confirm whether it's true or not, that the first ever 80s cruise ran out of alcohol at some point during the week. I'm sure that
they definitely were running out of certain things. There were items like Fireball and certain brands of beer that we were running out of. And one of the stops was Puerto Rico, and so they had a shipment come in. So yeah, every year we try to up the ante and see if we can break a record. The first one was on Holland America, and we broke the record with them. And then the next year we came to Celebrity. We broke the drinking record with them, and we didn't know if we were going to be able to do it last year, but then they broke it again. So we'll see if we can do it year 4. I mean, there is going to be a lot of seniors, so they might just be drinking and skipping out on everything else.
Speaking of seniors, because this is the 4th year of the 80s cruise, those of us who've been on every voyage so far kind of consider us to be the senior class. And I understand there's some special events or some special celebrations that you guys have planned to kind of mark the occasion.
Yeah, this being year 4, this being so many people returning from year 1, and every year they do. They call themselves juniors, sophomores. So it's the seniors. So this will be the class of 2019. We're going to have a graduation ceremony. We're going to have everybody walk. There's going to be commencement speeches. I'm sure there's going to be some senior pranks that are planned and some senior perks and, all that kind of stuff. You can't not have the 80s cruiser, cannot be a senior and not, recognize that kind of stuff. So they'll be the first class, and that'll be the coolest thing is no one will ever be able to take that away from them. They will be the first class, the 2019 class of the 80s cruise.
It's been great having you on the show, Joey. Can't wait till March 2019.
It's going to be fun. Can't wait to see you and Brad. Can't wait to see everybody else. Look forward to it. It's going to be a party.
Hey, what'd you guys think of the interview?
Loved it.
I really enjoyed it. I was pleased to see that he remembered my name at the end there. Because it is all about me.
Brad. That's your whole takeaway.
Hey, he remembered me. I'm not just that guy who calls him and hassles him. Hey, where's the projector man?
But what I like is this is one of those years where they were really paying attention to suggestions from the guests, who wanted people to make, they wanted a little bit of a mix in the theme nights. So we got new themes this year. And they wanted to see Chris from Berlin as a DJ a little bit more often. So he's going to be there doing that. We get the horror night theme. We get the kind of retrofitted prom that's going to be indoors. I can't tell you how much
that's going to be amazing.
That's so smart.
Yeah, it really is. Really is.
The one thing I loved that Joey said when you were asking him about back to the 80s night, and he was saying that that's the night to embrace whatever you were or whatever you wanted to be in the 80s. And that just really resonated with me, because if you've never been on the cruise, what you realize is that's the whole cruise.
That just is the kickoff for what you do.
It's not just that single night. It's the entire time you're on this cruise. You get to embrace whatever you were or whatever you wanted to be. And the thing is that I kind of found myself doing both. So I was enjoying all the stuff that I love, the movies, the music, the fashion, all the stuff of my youth. But then I had the sort of patience and wisdom and don't give a shitness about being an adult. You know what I'm saying? It's
right. Yeah.
So I got to wear all the clothes that my mom would never have let me wear, but because I have a job, I could go buy those things.
I always tell people it's the place where you can wear that weird Tron Ghostbusters Pac-Man T-shirt, and everyone just gets it. You don't have to. And they
compliment
anything.
You. People
and they're like,
crazy.
"Oh my gosh, that's a great shirt!" I know, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, these really are my people."
I don't think the only time that I think people kind of looked at me weird, that I know of, on the first cruise was the night that Brad and I dressed as the baggage handlers from Trading Places. Nobody got that. And so I did feel like
it's a bad choice.
It wasn't just yours. We both came up with it.
I mean, I did make $20 in tips that night moving bags around.
It was super comfortable. Don't get me wrong. But that was the one time where I'm like, okay, we were not, I don't know if too clever is the word. Too obscure is probably what I'm aiming for here. So Jen, you've only been on the first 80s cruise. What are your special memories, or what were your surprises that week?
Well, I like to refer to it as the first ever 80s cruise because that's what they called it every single time they made an announcement. Welcome to the first ever 80s cruise. And anyway, that's how I refer to it. I was on the first ever 80s cruise and so excited to get on this ship again. It was like a lot of little stuff. You kind of sign up for this thing and you're like, oh, I'm so excited for Kenny Loggins or the big, the bands and the VJs and the celebrities and you kind of sign up for that. But what I learned when you get on that ship, you're having fun every second. I mean, it's bananas. It's just kind of ridiculous, actually. And I really wasn't, I was expecting to have a good time. I went with my two best friends and we've all agreed, we had the best time we've ever had in our entire lives, which sounds like an overstatement, but I swear to you it is. It's like the little things, right? So one day I remember it was a little bit rainy on one of the days that we were at sea, but they're playing 80s music all the time. So you're always immersed in the music. So it was raining. We were the only ones in the hot tub. The Go-Go's come on. So naturally we wanted to get out and dance on the pool deck. There were already like a group of 3 best friends dancing on the pool deck. So we all danced together. It's like little things like that are just what I take with me. Or like, you know, when I saw all the 80s movies that were going to be there, I thought, oh, we're never going to have time to watch movies. I swear to God, between Lucy and I, she was my cabin mate, we watched like 6 movies. Yeah. Like getting just ready for a party out or
just in between.
Yeah, totally. Or winding down.
It's like there's always room for Jello.
Yeah, I remember. Exactly. Right. Well, I mean, I remember one of my favorite memories is my 2 friends went off and did a tour, and I was like, I don't care. So I got back on board, and I went and got an ice cream cone, and I sat in the cabin and watched Pretty in Pink and ate an ice cream cone. And I was like, this is the happiest I've been in months. And it's just those tiny little moments that you're like pure joy. And that's what surprised me the most, I think, was just how fun it was.
Well, I think it's hard for people to maybe even grasp when you're on this boat and you're disconnected from any of your cares. Unless, well, I mean, although Spearsy probably has his packed up in his bag so he can pull them out and look at them every now and then. But the rest of us, I mean, it's just like you slice that stuff off and you set it aside. You're like, my phone doesn't work here. This is amazing. I can set it down, and no one's texting me and my kids are fine. They're not bugging me. I don't have to cook them dinner. And you get to go and be that, you get to go and kind of take another drink from the, it's not the fountain of youth, but it's the drinking fountain next to the fountain of youth. And it's pretty good stuff.
It's a delicious fountain.
It really is. It always runs cold.
It really is.
But I mean, I think you touched on it, Jen. The memories that I always kind of go back to that I tell people about is just those kind of chance glancing encounters with the celebrities that are on the boat. It's hilarious giving Belinda Carlisle directions to the spa, or watching, having the guys from Wang Chung walk by my door while one of them is singing one of their songs, and then having him look in my door as I'm walking out. So I wasn't singing that, stuff like that.
Yes, I do. I do remember getting in the omelet line behind
Tiffany.
Some
little moments like that you're like, did that happen? Can I actually speak that sentence? I played walking soccer with Thomas Dolby. Wait, what the hell does that even mean? I don't know, but it happened.
All right. That one kills me.
It's hilarious.
That one kills me.
I think to me, I still go back to hosting trivia at that one day that Modern English was with us. And so here's this group that we all grew up watching on MTV. Like we know we know exactly who they are. There's, Robbie Gray right there. And they have agreed to sit there for an hour with me and Brad and tolerate our questions and just tell stories and interact with the crowd and then sign stuff afterwards. And I'm like, I was part of this, and then everyone who came up to participate was part of it. It was like, there were these gigantic shared, experiences that you can't quantify with any sort of mathematical formula. And it was just like a glow around that week, and it stays there.
And Brad tried. Brad tried to quantify it with a mathematical equation, and he couldn't do it.
I stayed up late not watching movies, working on my quantum theory of the 80s cruise. It just all fell apart, so I went and had a drink.
It's just one of those things, and until you come in and join us and do it, you won't really get it. But we'll be there. We'll be recording. I think we'll be recording more live podcasts this year. We're hoping to have special guests. We're hoping that Jesse's girl will join us for one of the live podcasts.
Yeah, that'll be
Yay.
fun.
In the meantime, though, I want to gauge how well you guys remember the 80s cruise, because I have concocted a trivia quiz.
Oh, no.
Based on the 80s cruise. Are you guys ready? 5 questions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm at a disadvantage because I was only on the first ever 80s cruise.
No, I have taken that into account.
Okay.
And,
all right.
So for the most part, you should know most of these. Play along at home if you've actually been on the cruises. If not, then just kind of enjoy the silliness. Question number 1. on the first 80s cruise, what was the first band to appear on the main stage on day one?
Modern English. I mean, Jen.
Jen, what is your answer, Jen?
Modern English.
Incorrect.
Brad, Starship.
Yep, Starship.
Oh, not the outside thing stage, the
Day
main
one.
stage. Okay.
Day one, the night of day one was the first time a show was on the main stage, and it was Starship. And they were great. And oh my gosh, they're on this year's cruise too. I don't even know why we forgot to keep
that's right.
that.
Jeez, I forgot they're back, aren't they? That'll be fun.
I don't know if they'll be opening on the first night or not. We'll find out soon enough. Okay, so Brad gets 1 point. Question number 2, again on the first 80s cruise. What theme night did they have that has not been continued for any future 80s cruise? Jen?
Pajama Jam, or as I like to call it, Pajama Glam.
Yes, you are correct.
Much to my dismay, by the way.
I know. You know, I have a theory about Pajama Night.
Here it comes.
I love that sentence. Can we just pause for a moment to bask in the glow of that sentence?
It was never going to work on the first cruise, but it would work like a dream now because everybody kind of knows each other and everyone's comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
And I would totally rock the PJs now, but I was vehemently against it on the
Oh
first
dear.
cruise.
I didn't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe Katie and I also participated in the hard pass on Pajama Night.
Yeah. But you would do it now though, wouldn't you?
Probably not.
Well, it was a tricky one for sure, and that was the night that we had the most trouble with, the theme we had the most difficulty figuring out what our outfits were going to be, and then we unlocked it. We broke the code, which was changing it to doing glam. So there was a lot of silky kind of fabrics. There was a lot of gold. There was some like Golden Girls influence, a little bit of Dynasty was involved.
A lot of work.
So yeah, once we figured that out, we're like, oh, we got this. And then now we've got these silky pajamas. We don't know what to do with them. So maybe 2020.
You know what I'd like to see is, I think I even threw this idea out to him, was do a sleepover theme where like maybe the dining room's empty. Like it's just like a giant sleepover. There's sleeping bags. People can make forts out of blankets.
Yeah, it's an expensive cruise. I want to just stay in my cabin where the bed is more comfortable.
Yeah, maybe that was a better theme if we were all 12 years old. But
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, here we are. Tied at 1-1. Question number 3. In the soon-to-be 4 years of the 80s cruise, how many cruise ships have been used?
Brad.
3. You name them.
The Holland America Old People.
No.
The Celebrity Summit and the Celebrity Infinity?
Yeah, you got the last 2 right. You don't remember the name of the first ship?
No.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Give me a minute. Jen. Eurodam.
Eurodam, yes. You are correct.
Do you know why I know that? Do you know why I know that? Because I took a picture of my 2 friends in front of the boat on one of our excursions onto shore, and we captioned that picture, Eurodam, girl. That is how I know that answer.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Brad slipped into surly Brad again. He'll snap out at this next question. Are you ready?
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. The staff on that boat was like, will you people go to bed? Our normal cruisers are in bed as soon as dinner's over.
They weren't ready for us that first year, but it was still fun.
It was.
Question number 4. Which band played the Neon Beach Party Midnight Sail Away Party in year 1?
Jen. Wang Chung.
Yes.
Yep.
We're tied 2-2.
Yep.
I have really good faith, though, that Brad's going to prevail with this last question. Are you ready?
Thanks very much, Steve.
Nothing like a vote of confidence.
If Jen gets this before Brad, I will be shocked. If Jen even knows the answer, I might be shocked. Question number 5. What side item does Brad order with every dinner?
Oh, Brad. I believe the correct answer is and a filet.
Yes. Yeah, you are correct.
Doesn't everyone order an extra steak? A steak with your dinner?
Oh, my gosh.
It seems a little unfair. I'm not grousing.
That's a little biased. Yeah. I don't think Price
a little bit,
Waterhouse
okay,
would certify
here,
that one.
Let me match that question. What dessert does Jen order on the first ever 80s cruise?
Every night, the same dessert? No. You probably ordered...
Steve, you're correct. It is all of them. I just get every one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then I share it, or I'll taste. That's how you do cruises. You get all the desserts, and then you taste it. And if you like one better, you might get another one.
It's so funny because on the first night, everyone is always giving me crap that I order 2 appetizers and 2 and sometimes 3 entrees. But by the third night, everyone's on board with it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you? That's how we do this.
And then comes the magic of lobster night, where they basically just keep bringing us lobsters until we beg them to stop.
Just get set up the conveyor belt.
Yeah. Oh yes, the memories, the calories.
Tune in next week for our new sponsor, Lipitor.
I need some more of that, by the way. I'm out. I just noticed that a few minutes ago. The site to go to, the www.the80scruise.com. Use the promo code STUCK, STUCK, all caps, or probably lowercase works just as well. You'll save hundreds off your rate, and you'll make Brad and I very happy. You'll make ECP very happy. Joey will be ecstatic. And then we'll see you there for Big 80s Trivia. In the meantime, Joey, myself, Brad, and the girl who orders every single dessert, we remain here, hopelessly stuck in the 80s.
Stuck in the 80s is a member of the CLNS Media Network. Special thanks to Check Battery Daily for our theme music. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or the CLNS Media mobile app.